to be on this call with us. And we met just briefly at the Elite Academies. And that's what I always say, is Elite Academies are there to network, and to the people that touch you, that inspire you to reach out and get their number and, give them a hug and shake their hand. And when I saw Dr. Jaun on the panel, I was immediately struck with his authenticity, his genuineness, and his story, and just what he had to bring to the table. And so I'm going to actually read his bio because I couldn't remember the whole thing. But he has a master's in biochemical medicine. He specializes in anti-aging medicine and prevention at the cellular level. And he's also worked with pharmaceutical companies and medicine, pharmaceutical companies with medicine to be evaluated for the FDA approval and academic research for the future of medicine. And what I found really amazing is his story of how he came to LifeVantage. LifeVantage didn't necessarily come to him, how he came to LifeVantage, and I would love for him to share that. And also, one of the things I really loved about in the panel when I met you at the Elite Academy was just your view on the importance of what we have our hands on and really what you're excited about as well. And I know you won't have a ton of time for questions at the end, so I'm going to just quickly shut my mouth and turn it over to you.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Listen, it's a pleasure to be in your call. It's a privilege to be a part of your team this evening. I am Dr. Juan Felix. I'm based in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I've seen that we have similar weather. Well, when I'm looking at the pictures later from a lady, and my story is differently than everybody that is in LifeVantage. Nobody actually approached me about see LifeVantage, see an ABC primetime video, let's meet. I didn't have that privilege. Nevertheless, I have the privilege of being looking. I'm always out the lookout for new technology properly evaluated so I can incorporate the wellness program of the people. That's my intentions, is that people actually have the tools to regain and maintain their health. So I came across this clinical study. It's number 24. If you go to pubmed.gov, that number 24 is a study in human that said we can increase SOD and catalase and all the stuff, right? And the point of this clinical study is that I thought that in my lifetime, I wouldn't be able to see a measurable technology that can we do what we represent today, LifeVantage. We have made a big jump from the small things that we were doing to regain health and maintain health, and what LifeVantage brings to the table. We are actually marking an era in human history about the tools that we have to regain our health. And the born of NRF1, the born of the true science, and all the overwhelming, well-researched, well-confessioned technologies that we represent through LifeVantage are second to none. This LifeVantage venture for me is actually an intrinsic part of me integrating somebody to wellness. As an anti-aging specialist, I've been able to do conference in the anti-aging for the anti-aging boards for recertification and everything like that. And the themes that I'm asked to talk about as a biochemist and engineer are about SOD, catalase, and glutathione, and NRF2, and the importance of having that in our body. So this is not only a LifeVantage or sales pitch issue. This is now becoming a health and wellness medically um, revised phenomenon that we can actually give to people now. And I have an extremely good experience in incorporating this to patients with critical illnesses. I'm not able to discuss it, right, because it's a long list, but I'm seeing results. And one of the most impressive things for me was how fast this technology worked. Um, During that time that I was reading the stories, um, I spent 9 months reading all the clinical studies. And as a clinical researcher, I always look at the references to see, sorry about that, I just had to go, to see if there's something wrong or somebody tried to falsify the information. And everything checks out. All the reference in all the studies check out. So I went to the company and I didn't know it was multi-level network market. I didn't know about any of that. I didn't sure what I was getting into. But I can tell you something. This technology is replacing and will replace everything we know on wellness, on regaining functions that we lose at a genetic level. This is not my personal opinion. This is what this clinical study show in a measurable way. And the most amazing part, if any professional in health, any, that take the time to read this in an objective manner, cannot say otherwise. I'm telling you this because sometimes we're stubborn, as I did, stubborn, about talking about Life Vantage or talking about the technology that actually fascinates me. And on my business, I wasn't getting the results. But it was all my fault, right? And I have all this evidence. I didn't take the action needed. I didn't give this technology the value on how it can impact a human being health. And by saying that, I got really uncomfortable. I, I, I encountered some opposition about some doctors that didn't read anything. Um, and that's a normal process of growing a business, not only a Life Vantage business, in any business, because if you're a distributor today, we are the one educating the whole world about why this is different, why does it work, because we are the ones who's marking that difference between what is now and the proper instruction for the human beings to know that this actually exists, that is working, and is measurable. So we all are going to encounter some kind of resistance, some kind of doubt, and that's okay. That is normal, because all those doctors that that actually didn't saw it, they are now in my organization in Puerto Rico. Not sign up with me, but sign up to somebody that taught somebody. They're deep in the organization. That actually, it's not a winner for me. It's a win-win situation for the organization. But nevertheless, I learned that I have to go to the proper channels so people can actually evaluate this properly. And that's running the system. Is that making that three-way call? Is just shutting up and let a video talk for you at first. Because if we start talking, we're selling. And we don't sell. We expose information and we get people interested in hearing us. After that, actually, it's not a sale, but people are willing to listen if this is what's for them. Because it was validated, not you trying to sell it, it's because they get exposed to some information that they're interested in hearing you about. And then become that third-party credibility validation. Here in Puerto Rico, I didn't have that. So I had to force a little because I wasn't unable to get some people on the phone. There actually, for my surprise, there was a lot of people, professionals in health that didn't know too much English, so I can put a person from the US. But I use actually downlines, my downline, to actually help me grow my other legs. It was a learning curve for me. And, and I wasn't teachable at all. I was the guy you didn't want to recruit because I didn't listen, because I always seek the answer my way. And I learned that here, it's not about me, it's not about a volume, it's about having a system that it will work for you if you work it, to actually give the people the opportunity to have a business opportunity and be healthier. So when those two things are colliding, being healthy and being a business, we actually will give us time. If we run the system to dedicate ourselves to something that is called, which now I learned is beautiful, residual income. And I'm gonna finish up so we can have some questions. I know we still got time. That famous hurricane that all you guys know about, the Hurricane Maria that destroyed the island. I lost one of my clinical studies that I was doing in Puerto Rico. There was a lot of thousands of dollars that I invested. That was my secure business. That was in my head. That was my secure business. That was my number one priority. That was what this is my real business. Life Vantage is it's just a business. So guess what? That income stopped getting in. Not because my infrastructure was damaged, because patients couldn't get patients couldn't get to my facility to be evaluated for the clinical study. So when we run protocols, that's an intrinsic part because we actually need the compliance of the patient hours and everything. I was very disappointed, sad. And guess what happened? That 15, that check didn't fall. And actually I could maintain not only my way, the way I live, but actually I could move to Mexico and start building. I could move to the United States and just start building. And that's when I realized that what I had and I thought was my best option to gain a lot of money in health, that was all in my mind. Because at the end of the day, my little second business, my mind interpreted, gave me the security that I was seeking in my life. Save me from me. So if you have any doubt about how strong can be the income, the building a residual income, ask me. I've lived the truth about building this business. I live as I've seen thousands of beautiful testimonies in health. I, I've seen hundreds of testimonies in wealth, of financial freedom, which I thought I couldn't get. I thought that couldn't have the way that this income works. I thought I couldn't do it. But you don't need to think that you can do it or not. You have to get out of that your brain and just start building it, even if you don't understand, and run that system. And I guarantee you, the same thing that's happening to those pro-temps will happen to you, because the only difference between them and us is that we started later than them. And we are part of their organization. And they are willing to help us. I've seen Marcel Niederhauser come to Puerto Rico. I've seen a lot of leaders come to Puerto Rico with the interest. I've seen corporate to come to Puerto Rico. You guys have Marcin Sato, one of the brilliant, most well-hearted persons you can have. You have it right there in Hawaii. For me, it was very overwhelming that a man with his integrity, teach us about this business with such a passion. And that is the kind of leadership that we have that will help you in a personal matter. The thing is that sometimes we think that because they're up there, they're they are too busy. They get busy because there's people like us that want to build this business, people like you, because if you're in this call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Hawaii, it's because you're taking some sacrifice for your family, for your job, because you believe in something. You believe that this can be possible. And the most important thing is that you are not alone. We work as a team, and the teamwork in the system works. That's all I'm going to say for now. This is our first intervention. I know you have a few questions.
That was amazing.
I still get 5 minutes before I have to
Okay. I'll ask just one question first, and then I won't take up all the time. So just quickly, as a doctor, did you approach your patients first, or did you approach your peers? And if you approach your patients, how did you do that in a way that felt ethical and not crossing boundaries?
As a medical doctor, because we have clinical studies with science-based measurable evidence done by multiple institutions already accredited by the FDA to actually test their products, because we have that kind of rapport, I can actually include it in what is needed to do in treatments. It's a recommendation. Patient does whatever they want. They're, right? But I always recommend it. Some of them take my advice and they protect their livers, their kidney from a lot of side effects. Some of them say, I don't want that. I just want my medicine, and that's okay. I use a lot of third-party credibility if I'm approaching doctors, but what I always seek are people that have a little more time than a doctor, because as me and as some doctors that I approach, they're still in their brain that the best thing they can do is be in their offices and getting paid because they're doing that for 10, 20, 30 years. And that's okay. And some doctor doesn't see it at first. But once those clinical studies, they actually allow themselves to read it, because you're doing a strategic follow-up. There's a strategic follow-up to follow up the medical doctors. It took a little time, but that paper in hand is very handy. I actually talk to a lot of people. Now I'm using a little Facebook. I actually grew because I follow up a person for 5 years, and I increased $40,000 in 2 months in my organization. I'm following now a person that has been 4 years, and now she's engaging in the opening of Spain, and she's already getting people in Puerto Rico. So follow-up is a key for this business. If being the right approach is very important, follow-up is at that same levels of importance. I hope I answered your question correctly.
Amazing. That was perfect. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to open it up. He has a few more minutes. Anyone? First come, first serve.
I have a question. I'm wondering, some people feel like because the studies aren't human studies, that they're less valuable to us.
Yeah. When I do clinical studies, I first, when I get asked to evaluate, it's a very long process, but we already went through that. Everything first, there's come a person. I don't like to talk about what I do, but for the purpose answer, you have to say what I do. They come to me to see if that molecular structure is not going to kill something organic. So I actually look at it and see the different biochemical reactions that it can do to organic matter. And then if I say, let's go, we start trying it in the organic matter. So we go for, they're called líneas de cultivo células, like human cell grown tissue, and we start testing it there. We then tested in mouse, some of them. And that is a very, very long process before it gets to a human. That study number 24 is a human clinical trial. So with that being said, this actually has been in the real process to getting more human clinical trials. But we are in that process. It's like the ABC. I don't want to wait that I'm 80 years old
Yeah.
and go back and tell that I shouldn't be taking this. This is already safe. That's what this human study is. It talks about SOD, catalase, NRF2, all the things that we know, but it has a base. There were some few studies before that actually get to that level that actually it was permitted to study in humans. So with that being said, this has real, true clinical human study. It goes through that process. So if you want to say that human study, you show that number 24. The heart study of Ohio State is also in human tissue. The way they do it is they took tissue that had a lot of clotting, and they did the bypass. They put that net, and actually they didn't have to change it at the time that it was supposed to be changed. With that being said, that's true proof that this was in human tissue. There's always people that will ask, but I want to study if I got a mole here or something like that. There's always that people don't let you deviate you from what we're doing and the evidence we got. Don't let that take your drive to actually talk, because you will find the right people that actually will make a deliberately assessment about the information you're doing. Actually, be willing to be biased and learn about what this can do for them, because it's not coincidence that in different continents around the world this has have a positive impact. This is not a casualty. This is because of clinical studies, because we can explain biochemically what is happening and nobody else can say otherwise.
Thank you.
And
That was awesome.
I'm gonna sound a little cocky, but if those doctors doesn't get it, they can talk to me. I've been doing research for more than a decade, and let me tell you, this has more science than some of the medications that we are using right now for patients, and that is the truth.
Okay.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. I want to respect your time. Are you good for one more question, or do you need to go?
Yeah, I got 4 more minutes.
Okay. One more question. Anyone up? First come, first serve.
Hi, Dr. Juan. This is Sarah Redican. I'm over here on Oahu. I actually have a comment more than a question. And I just want to, first of all, thank you for taking the time, because hearing people whose knowledge and passion is so strong is really inspiring, and I think kind of keeps all of us going and keeps us inspired. And also your just inclusive attitude and your heartfelt feeling about really helping all people who understand what this has to offer. And it doesn't matter if they're on your team, if they're not, if they live near you or they have a connection with you or want to make a connection with you. You just seem to have such an open heart. And I think that's huge, especially for those of us who live or have ties here in Hawaii. Understanding that whole Ohana vibe really makes a difference in your business, in your life, in all of your relationships. So thank you so much for your time and energy and your attitude towards this whole life.
This is not going to be the last one. It's an honor for me. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that's a beautiful note to end. And I know you have to get to a meeting at the hospital. Thank you so much in tuning in from Puerto Rico, and time changes. And I know that there was a little bit of back and forth. So super appreciate you. And do you have a Facebook that anyone could go on and check? Do you have any groups or anything that I saw you have some information on Google, but if anybody wanted to touch base?
They are in Spanish.
Okay.
I'm working in one that is called Preventive Medicine at Cellular Level.
Okay.
and I'm gonna work that one in all English. I'm
Okay.
starting to build that. If you go to my personal Facebook, I don't think there's any more room. But
Okay.
right there in the group that I have, the groups that I have is preventive medicine at cellular level. It's in my bio. So you click there and you can actually ask me any question there. in any
Amazing. So
language.
prevention medicine at a cellular level.
Preventive medicine.
Preventive.
Medicine at cellular
Preventive.
level.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon. And I'm going to have a few announcements after he hops off if you want to stay on. Aloha. Thank you.
Thank you. Aloha. Nice seeing you all.
Nice to see you too, Dr. Jaun.
Laura, what was that site again? Preventive medicine.
Preventive medicine at a cellular level. And he said go to his Facebook page. It's Dr. Jaun Felix, Jaunfelix. Isn't he awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah, really amazing man. And, you know, I don't know if everyone caught his story in the beginning, but when he shared his story at the panel, he, like he said, he was doing his own research. And he couldn't believe that he stumbled across NRF2 and the study of what he came across. He didn't expect to actually see this available in his lifetime. And that's when he came and he actually sought out the company online and found the company. And that's when he found it was network marketing. And, you know, long story short, there he is in the business. So I thought that was an awesome story of how someone with his background and his education saw what we had on his own and came to us. So I thought it was really inspiring. And just a couple of housekeeping, just because I didn't get to do it at the beginning of the call, but there's no Life Vantage Academy in December. There will be one in January, so you go ahead and look up that for your area. We have the attending depth in Georgetown coming up soon. I know a few people are going and carpooling that way. We got Monette and Sandy, they're going to be there. So bring back some nuggets for us, and that's going to be awesome. We have Charleston on February the 7th to the 9th. I'm super excited to go to that city. I can't wait. And I think that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off. It's right at the bottom of the hour. Just super grateful. Hope everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend. And for everyone that's catching the recording, nice to touch in with you too. Aloha.